Okay, so imagine, right, you're at a party
Okay.
and everyone's talking about how hot the housing market is.
Yeah.
Prices are going crazy. People are like, making tons of money.
Right.
And it seems like the party will never end.
Yeah.
But you've got this this little feeling
Yeah.
that something's off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something's not right.
Exactly.
That's the feeling you get
Totally.
reading The Big Short,
Yeah.
which is what we're diving into today.
It's like everyone's wearing blinders,
Right.
but a few people start to see like these cracks in the foundation,
Yeah.
and then the deeper they dig, the more they realize that it's
Yeah.
just built on this like really shaky foundation
Right.
of subprime mortgages.
Right. Those loans given to people
Yeah.
who
Who probably shouldn't have gotten them
Yeah.
in the first
They
place.
couldn't really afford them. Right.
Right, exactly.
And we're not talking about just a few.
Bad loans here.
No.
This is systemic.
Yeah, widespread.
Yeah, massive.
It's kind of mind-boggling
It's crazy.
how this was allowed to happen.
It really is.
And then it gets even crazier.
Yeah, well, so
They-
these subprime mortgages,
Oh, yeah?
they got bundled together.
Okay.
Right.
Like a bunch of grapes.
Yeah, like what? Yeah, think of it like a fruit basket or something.
Okay.
And they're turned into these complex investments
Okay,
called
say-
collateralized debt obligations
Okay.
or CDOs.
CDOs. All right. So
Yeah.
what's so bad about bundling mortgages?
So you got some good grapes in there,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But you also got some rotten ones.
Okay.
The problem is these CDOs.
Yeah.
They were structured in a way that made it really hard to tell,
Right.
which
Oh, okay.
you were sliced and diced into different risk levels or
Okay.
tranches and then sold off to investors
Okay.
all over the world.
So people were buying these investments,
Yeah.
thinking they were safe,
Exactly.
but really they were
Sitting on
sitting on a ticking time bomb.
a ticking time bomb. Yeah.
Wow.
And because they were so complex,
Yeah.
even the rating agencies,
The ones who were supposed to
assess the risk.
assess the risk. Yeah.
They were giving them high ratings.
Really?
Yeah, they were basically giving a thumbs up
Wow.
to investments that were built on
Built on bad loans?
Yeah, on a foundation of bad loans.
Oh, man.
It's crazy.
That's where our first
Yeah.
outsider
Yeah.
steps in.
That's where Michael Burry comes in.
Dr. Michael Burry.
Yeah.
This guy's a neurologist.
Yeah.
Not your typical
Not your typical Wall Street guy.
Wall Street hotshot.
No, not at all.
So he's a doctor
Yeah.
who saw what Wall Street missed.
He's a data whiz.
Uh-huh.
He started digging deep into the numbers behind these mortgage-backed securities.
So he's reading those
He's
long,
reading the prospectuses.
really,
Yeah, those long, boring prospectuses.
that most people just
Everybody just skims over.
skim over or ignore. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Burry's going through all this data.
Yeah.
What does he see?
He uncovers something pretty alarming.
Okay.
He finds out that a huge percentage of these loans
Right.
are going to default.
What does that mean?
People are going to stop making their payments.
Wow. Wow.
He realized that the entire housing market
Yeah.
was massively overvalued,
Okay.
and it was only a matter of time
Yeah.
before the whole thing came crashing down.
So what does he do?
He does something pretty bold.
Does he sound the alarm?
He decides to bet against the market.
What?
Yeah.
How do you even do that?
So he goes to the big banks,
Yep.
and he's like, I want to buy credit default swaps.
Credit default swap
That's default swaps.
on these mortgage bonds.
Okay, hold on.
Big.
What's a credit default swap? Okay. Imagine taking out an insurance policy
Yeah.
on your neighbor's house,
Okay.
betting that it's going to burn down.
So he's betting against
He's betting against the housing market.
the housing market.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
It's a gutsy move.
that is gutsy.
Especially when everybody
It's
thinks
gonna go up.
that it's going to keep going up.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm so sure this is going to fail. I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is.
Wow.
And he faced so much pushback.
Rare.
People thought he was crazy.
The banks were like, "What are you doing?
The banks were like, you're betting against us?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Are you serious?"
But Burry was undeterred.
He was like, I know what I'm seeing.
Yeah, the data doesn't lie.
The data doesn't lie.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Burry,
We got Burry.
this data-driven contrarian
Yeah.
who sees the crash coming.
Uh-huh.
Did anyone else?
Well, there are a few others.
Yeah.
Operating in their own little corners of the financial world
Okay.
who started to notice these
Yeah.
these cracks in the system.
Mm-hmm.
One of those was Steve Eisman,
Okay.
who was a hedge fund manager
Okay.
known for his sharp wit
Okay.
and even sharper skepticism.
So was Eisman just...
He was a different breed.
Okay.
He was driven by this, like, deep sense of moral outrage.
Oh, interesting.
He saw how these toxic mortgages were being sold to these, like, unsuspecting investors,
Like-
and he knew the consequences would
Yeah.
be devastating.
So for him, it wasn't just about, like,
It wasn't just about making money.
making money.
It was about, like, exposing the system,
Right.
the greed, the recklessness
Yes.
that was putting people's lives at risk.
So it wasn't just
This was really
numbers.
This was about real people
Yeah.
losing their homes, their livelihoods, their dreams.
This is real world consequences.
Absolutely. Eisman was one of the few who really understood the human cost
Right?
of this financial recklessness.
Wow.
He saw that it wasn't just about,
Yeah.
numbers on a spreadsheet.
Right.
This was about real people's lives.
Wow. So we've got these two very different people, right?
Yeah.
Burry and Eisman both seeing this, like, disaster coming
Yeah.
on the horizon, right?
Right.
And they're both, like, willing to bet big
Uh-huh.
against what everyone else is thinking.
What's fascinating is they weren't the only ones.
Oh, really?
Eisman,
Yeah.
he wasn't alone in his skepticism.
Sure.
Two other investors working completely differently were also kind of uncovering these cracks in the
Okay.
system.
Okay.
Charlie Ledley and Jamie Mai,
Okay.
two guys running a tiny, tiny fund
Oh, wow.
called Cornwall Capital,
Cornwall Capital.
practically out of their garage.
Out of their garage.
Yeah.
Seriously. So we've got a neurologist,
Yeah.
a morally outraged hedge fund manager,
Yeah.
and now two guys in a garage.
I know.
This is
What
like a movie.
This is like a Hollywood movie.
That's what makes The Big Short such like
Mhm.
compelling read.
Yeah.
It's full of these like unlikely heroes.
Yeah.
Ledley and May. I mean,
Yeah.
they were the ultimate underdogs. You know,
Right.
no fancy Wall Street
Yeah.
pedigree or billions of dollars under management.
Right.
But they were smart, resourceful,
Yeah.
and willing to do the research that others weren't.
So how did these guys with limited resources end up like?
They started small,
Okay.
dabbling in the market,
Okay.
learning as they went.
Yeah.
And then they kind of stumbled upon
Yeah.
this whole subprime
Yeah, they-
mortgage mess.
Yeah.
They saw the same kind of red flags
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
Burry and Eisman
Okay.
had spotted, but
Yeah.
they approached it from a
Yeah.
different angle.
Okay.
They were looking for opportunities where the market was, like
Yeah.
mispricing risk,
Okay.
and they found this gold mine in these
Yeah.
credit default swaps.
So they were basically
Yeah.
like buying those same insurance policies,
Exactly.
betting that the
Yeah.
market was going to crash.
But they started with like $110,000.
$110,000. They had to convince investors to give them more money
Oh, wow.
to make these bets.
So you have to,
And that wasn't easy.
yeah.
People thought they were nuts.
So you have to like convince people
Yeah.
that you're right
Yeah.
when everybody else is telling you you're wrong.
Exactly. And that's what's so remarkable
Yeah.
about all these characters in The
Yeah.
Big Short. They had this like conviction to stand by their analysis. Even when everyone was telling them they were wrong.
Yeah.
They were willing to bet their reputations, their careers, their financial futures
Oh.
on what they believed to be true.
It's like they were seeing,
They were seeing the world
Yeah.
through this different lens.
right, that nobody else had.
That allowed them to see the dangers that everyone else was blind to.
Yeah. But even though they were right,
Yeah.
it didn't.
It didn't make them happy, did it?
And it must have felt like,
No, not at all. Weird. They knew
Yeah.
that their success
yeah,
was built on the misfortune
Right.
of countless others.
of so many other people.
The Big Short doesn't like shy away from
yeah.
the human cost of
Yeah.
this crisis.
Yeah.
It tells the stories of the families who lost their homes,
Right.
the communities that were devastated,
Wow.
the ripple effects that were
Yeah.
felt around the world.
So the book's not just
So it's more than,
like a financial thriller.
yeah, it's a social commentary,
Okay.
a cautionary tale
Yeah.
about the dangers of unchecked greed
Right.
and the importance of like
Yeah.
holding those in power accountable.
Accountable. Yeah.
The Big Short
Yeah.
exposes the systemic failures
Yeah.
that allowed this to happen.
Right.
The banks,
Yeah.
they were incentivized to take on more and more risk.
Okay.
knowing
Right.
that they were too big to fail
Right.
and would likely be bailed out
By the government.
by the government.
And the rating agencies.
Right?
The watchdogs.
Watchdog.
Who were supposed to protect
Right.
investors.
Yeah, they were basically complicit in this whole scheme.
Wow. So they're giving
AAA ratings to these, like,
to these guys.
toxic CDOs,
Yeah.
creating this false sense of security
Right.
that lured investors in.
Right. Wow. So what happened when the bubble finally burst?
Well,
Did
it made a lot of money.
Did they get to be like, I told you so?
There was no sense of, like,
Right.
triumph, only a profound sense of unease.
Okay.
Because they knew that while they had profited,
Right.
millions of people were suffering
Right.
as a result.
That must have been so strange.
It's one of the most unsettling
Yeah.
aspects of The Big Short.
Okay.
It raises questions about our ability to, like, predict and prevent these kinds of systemic crises.
Yeah. If a handful of outsiders.
If these outsiders can see it coming, why couldn't the so-called experts, the regulators, the people in charge, what does that say about the system itself?
Right. Makes you wonder if we're really any better prepared for the next
Big Short.
Whatever it might be.
Right. Whatever form that takes.
That's the question The Big Short leaves us grappling with.
Yeah.
Are we still susceptible
To the
same like blind spots?
Yeah.
The groupthink, the allure of easy money.
Easy money, right?
And quick profits. Are we doomed?
Are we just going to repeat this?
Say to the past.
Yeah. Yeah, it is it's a sobering thought.
It is.
Knowing that these crashes just kind of seem
That's been baked in.
Yeah, baked into the system.
Yeah.
But reading The Big Short, it's not all doom and gloom, right?
No, not at all.
So it's not like we should all just like give up.
I think one of the biggest takeaways is that we don't have to be like passive victims of these events.
Okay.
You know, The Big Short it's really a call to action.
Okay.
It reminds us that we all have a role to play. Okay, so what can we do?
Yeah.
Like as people, what can we actually do?
Well, you're right. It can feel overwhelming, but
It was huge, right?
yeah, it starts with being informed.
Okay.
Educate yourself
Okay.
about how the system works.
Yeah.
What the risks are.
Yeah.
And how to protect yourself.
Okay.
Don't just blindly trust the experts.
So it's like anything, right?
Right. Knowledge is power.
The more you know, the less likely you are.
The less likely you are to be taken advantage of.
Yeah, to be taken advantage of.
And be wary of those get-rich-quick schemes.
Right.
You know, if something sounds
too good to be true.
Too good to be true.
Yeah.
It probably is.
Probably is.
There's no magic bullet.
Right.
You know, building financial security takes time.
Takes time.
Patience. Discipline.
Diversification.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Spread your risk.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Don't get caught up in the hype.
Right.
Think for yourself. Do your research.
Yeah.
And be skeptical of anything that promises easy money.
Easy money, yeah.
And here's a key piece of advice.
Okay.
Don't be afraid
to
ask for help.
Like talk to
talk to a financial advisor.
a financial advisor.
Or someone you trust who has experience in these matters.
Right.
There's no shame in seeking guidance.
Yeah.
It's about taking control of your own financial destiny.
So you don't have to be a Wall Street
insider.
Yeah. To make good financial decisions.
To make smart decisions, right?
Yeah, and remember, it's not just about protecting yourself.
Okay.
It's about demanding more
from
our institutions.
Yeah.
I mean, support policies.
That promote transparency.
Less accountability. Yeah.
Hold your elected officials responsible
for regulating.
You're regulating the industry.
Yeah, the financial industry.
Yeah.
So it's about being
It's about being an engaged citizen.
An engaged citizen.
So paying attention.
About
what's happening.
Yeah.
And speaking up.
When you see something wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so to wrap things up.
Yeah.
The Big Short is...
That's more than just a story.
Yeah, it's more than just a story about a financial crisis.
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah, it's like
It's a reminder that we need to be vigilant.
Vigilant, okay.
Informed.
Age.
If we want to create a more stable equitable future.
Right. And it's a story about...
It's a story about human fallibility.
Okay.
But also about human resilience.
Okay.
Ingenuity.
Yeah.
And the courage to challenge the status quo.
So to really, like, sum it all up,
yeah.
What's the message?
I think the most important message of The Big Short is that it's a call to action for all of us. Right. To be more informed.
More informed, yeah.
More engaged.
Engaged.
More vigilant in shaping a better future.
So who knows? Maybe someone listening to this is the next
Michael Burry.
Michael Burry.
The next Steve Eisman.
The next person who can see what other people...
Who can see what others miss.
Yes, yeah.
And have the courage to act on it.
So keep your eyes open.
Keep your eyes open.
Your mind sharp.
Your mind sharp.
And never stop questioning.
Stop questioning.
The future is ours to shape.
The future is ours to shape.